Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Ghost Prepper here, and I'm trying to get my basement organized, and I figured I would kind of go ahead and give you guys a sample of some of the stuff that I can, because when I say I can food. It's like crack. I'm addicted to it. But I'll give you a little rundown of what we got. A lot of people always forget their fruits. These are homemade canned peaches. I peeled them, canned them myself in heavy syrup. Easy process. I've got pears as well. Got your little mixed vegetables. I have some of these in the big quart jars too, but I found that we usually end up with a lot extra if I use the quart jars, so I broke them down into the pints. This is chow chow. And if any of you guys are from the South, you know what chow chow is. I make this myself, homemade, and it'll light your ass on fire. This is good stuff. You got some smoked sausages here. I canned in jalapenos. These things are awesome, really awesome. You've got barbecue pulled pork that I made myself from a Boston butt. It's got barbecue sauce in with it. I got canned ground beef here. Now I've got canned ground beef dry like this, and I've got canned ground beef in the sauce as well, or in water, however you want to call it. These are pintos and sausage. This is one of my family's favorites. It's actually got smoked sausage cut up in there. They're on the bottom. You just put it in a pot, add a little bit of water over some rice, you're good to go. Or just eat it right out of the jar. This, homemade Brunswick stew. My father's recipe. This stuff is awesome. Regular pintos. You got Great Northern beans. You got navy beans, lima beans, black-eyed peas. This is spaghetti meat sauce. Just boil up some noodles, or even just let the noodles sit in water until they're ready and you're good to go. Homemade chili. Potatoes. Just with the potatoes, all you gotta do is strain that water off, add a little butter, a little bit of milk, mash them up. You got mashed potatoes, quick and easy. This is homemade hamburger soup. All these vegetables in here came out of my aquaponics system, except for the carrots. Collards, grew those in my aquaponics system. If you saw my first video, you saw these bad boys growing. This is a smoked ham. I went and bought a whole spiral smoked ham and canned it. And I've eaten 2 jars full so far, and it's delicious. This is ham broth that I made from the ham at Christmas that was left over. When I boiled the bone down really good, I made some ham broth. And I use the ham broth when I'm cooking like the pintos and sometimes the black-eyed peas. It gives it a really good flavor. For the rest of my beans, usually I'll use homemade chicken broth. And this is bone broth. See how dark that stuff is? Whenever I can chicken, see that beautiful? Whenever I can chicken, usually I get the split breasts because they still got the bones and the skin, and that's where the flavor comes from. And I'll throw all those into a pot with a couple of whole chickens, the whole complete chickens, the ones you can get at Walmart, in a little shrink wrap bag. And then I'll put some celery, some onions, carrots in there. Let them cook, not real long, probably about 30 minutes. And then I'll pull the meat out, shred it, throw all the bones and the skin back in the pot with the veggies, and I'll let that simmer for about, at least 4, 5, 6 hours. It simmers while I'm canning the chicken. Once I'm done canning all the meat, then I go back and I can the broth. I just strain out all the bones and the skin, and I can the broth. And this stuff is amazing. You can literally, when you got a cold or something, just pop this open, heat it up, drink it like coffee. Yes, it's great for making chicken noodle soup. All you got to do is make the noodles and a little bit of chicken. This is one of my favorite, easiest meals, beanie weenies. If you're from the South, you've had them before. It's just pork and beans and weenies and hot dogs cut up in there. That's a quick and easy meal. This is homemade beef stew. Pintos and sausage, I told you about that one. Fresh green beans out of the garden. And I canned these things back in August of 2019. This is chicken stew. It's just like beef stew, except it's got chicken in it. It's really, really good. Pulled pork, a Boston butt. Canned it myself. This is something called sausage and tomatoes. My father invented this, and it's just the diced, seasoned tomatoes you can get on the tomato aisle. And he cuts up some smoked sausage and just boils it up. It's great over rice. It's delicious. This is sugar. This is canned milk. Don't anybody tell you you can't can milk. You can. All you gotta do is rehydrate it with equal parts water and pour it over your cereal. It tastes a little bit different, but it is still milk and you still got the nutrients. This is flour. And there's a little trick, I don't know if you can see it, to canning flour. And I vacuum canned this with a brake bleeder. And I'll do a video on that. I vacuum canned this and this with a brake bleeder. The sugar is really easy. This took some time because the flour is so fine and it gets sucked up into the bleeder. So what I did is I just took a coffee filter and put over top of the flour and then vacuum sealed it. But in the future, I'm emptying those out. And that's one of the reasons why I have so many beans and I canned them, because I've got a lot of beans canned in Mylar. And the thing is, this jar is expensive. It's valuable. This is doing nothing for that sugar that a Mylar bag can't do. But I can't can cooked food in a Mylar bag. So it behooves me to everything that can be canned in a Mylar is canned in Mylar. And what needs to be in the jars, because when I can something in the jar, I want to be able to open it and eat it. I want to be able to, nothing on here has to be heated up. Nothing. You can eat it right out of the jar. That's the key. But if I used to have cases and cases of dried beans and I vacuum sealed them. Then I realized that I was wasting this resource of this jar, especially when the pandemic hit and you couldn't find them. So I spent 2 days taking hundreds of pounds of dried beans and rice out of these mason jars and vacuum sealing them in Mylar. And I'm going to have a really detailed thing about the Mylar sealing, but I found a little trick that I do. Maybe somebody else out there does it, but I haven't seen it done yet. It's just something that I came up with just in case and I'll show you, just in case your oxygen absorbers don't work. Okay, this is 5 pounds of rice that I vacuum sealed in Mylar. And you can see it's like a brick. It's solid as a rock. All right. And that was done on 7/20. This bag was done the exact same day, 7/20. But look at it. It's not as hard as it is. Okay. All this has is 2 oxygen absorbers in it. This has an oxygen absorber, and I vacuum sealed it first with a vacuum cleaner. I'll show you that trick. It's pretty neat. And the reason why I decided to do that was because I like to have a backup to my backup. Yes, the oxygen absorber may work. It may not work. Well, in a shit hits the fan situation, I can't afford for it not to work. So if I can take a vacuum cleaner and a hose with a straw and get all the air out I possibly can, then put the oxygen, or then seal it up. You see how hard those things are, like brick. They're like freeze-dried coffee. They're insane. They're going to be around forever. And I'll have detailed videos on that. And this is just a sample of some of the stuff I've got. There's a lot more that I have, different stuff. I just got tired of carrying the jars back and forth 2 at a time. So I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to give you a little teaser video of some of the canning videos that I've got coming up for you. And I've got a shitload of some of this stuff. So I probably won't make a video of me doing green beans or, some of the other stuff, because I've got so much of it, I don't need to do it right now. But the process is pretty much the same across the board. It's just following the steps and doing it right. And I'll go through all that detailed step by step. This is just a little teaser. I wanted to get something out there for you guys. I will get to work on the Berkey filter, the homemade Berkey filter, and some other stuff probably later on tonight, and get them up as quick as I can. Thank you for checking in and watching the video. Please like and subscribe.